A federal charge, but he is not, we're told, by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago in federal custody tonight. But people here at Dalton Village Hall say they haven't seen him either since word of that indictment dropped just a few hours ago.
Two controversial South suburban politicians been fired as federal investigators focus in on his boss.
WGN Investigates has confirmed Tiffany Henyard, senior advisor in Dalton.
Federal prosecutors allege that Keith Freeman concealed his assets and income during his bankruptcy case, which is part of a broader investigation involving multiple lawsuits. These inquiries are being led by top law enforcement officials in Dalton and surrounding South suburban areas. Freeman, once a trusted ally of Mayor Tiffany Henyard, now finds himself at the center of a scandal. Henyard had gained praise for her bold leadership when she restructured her team and hired new staff. But as more former employees, including Freeman, come forward with accusations, doubts about her ethics have emerged. Freeman, who once supported Henyard, has reportedly turned against her by providing key information to the FBI. His involvement in the investigation becomes even more complicated due to his role in a high-profile bankruptcy case. Former workers have accused Henyard of unethical behavior, leading to growing skepticism about her leadership. As a result, her initial success is fading, and serious concerns about her ability to lead effectively are now surfacing.
In and out of trouble since he was a young person. He was charged for theft in 2000. He was charged with a felony, and when he turned 27. This was back in 2005. Theft in the second degree. Keith is a busybody. He has a long rap sheet. He never cleared up his charges because back in 2011, he was in Palm Beach, Florida, where they extradited him that time. They said out-of-state fugitive. Fugitive from justice. That's your boy, Keith Freeman. Because we all know Tiffany Henyard made a big fuss about not giving background checks. And this is one of the reasons why she did want to give a background check. Because anybody that works for the municipal department or the city can have felonies.
Thornton Township is charged with fraud connected to an alleged bankruptcy scheme.
The village also completed negotiations with the police patrol, police lieutenants, and the...
At a recent village board meeting, Keith Freeman was observed discussing financial matters with Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard while seated beside her. Freeman, who also serves as a manager of the Ford Township local government, is now entangled in significant legal troubles. The U.S. Attorney's Office has accused him of hiding assets and income from creditors during his bankruptcy case, a charge that could lead up to 5 years in prison if he is found guilty. Freeman filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Chicago on January 3, 2024. According to reports, he is said to have lied about his income, despite his claim form showing that his actual income was far higher than what he reported. Attempts to get comments from Freeman or other Dalton officials have so far gone unanswered. However, records indicate that Freeman is receiving a substantial amount of money, allegedly in excess of $150,000 annually. In addition to his role as a Ford Township manager, Freeman is also said to be drawing a salary from the village of Dalton. Despite Freeman claiming that his total income from Ford Township was just $5,800, payroll records from Dalton show that Freeman receives $3,800 every 2 weeks from the village of Dalton. These discrepancies have raised serious concerns, as Freeman's role as an independent contractor with a 1099 form means that he does not pay taxes, such as Social Security, medical, or other employee benefits, leaving him in a questionable financial position in addition to the bankruptcy fraud allegations. Freeman is facing accusations from the village of Robbins, where he served as village administrator from 2017 to 2021. Robbins claims Freeman failed to provide required documents and that he collected approximately $9,396 more than he was entitled to during his tenure. Freeman is also accused of lying further by submitting a fraudulent 2022 income tax return to the Chapter 7 trustee. The return he provided showed a much smaller income than he actually earned, despite not having filed a tax return that year. These actions have raised questions about his integrity and whether his falsehoods extend beyond personal finances into the governance of the municipalities he has worked for. One of the key concerns about Freeman's behavior is his involvement in Dalton and his connection to Tiffany Henyard. Freeman played a significant role under Henyard's influence, holding multiple positions in the Dalton and Ford Township administrations. He also served as a registered agent for the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, a charity that claimed to help cancer patients. However, investigations revealed that this foundation does not exist in the state of Illinois and failed to file the required paperwork detailing how it spent its taxpayer-funded money. Despite questions surrounding the charity's legitimacy, Freeman's responses when asked about the discrepancies were evasive, offering little more than dismissive remarks. Freeman's legal troubles grew even more serious following an indictment on January 30th, 2024. During a creditors' conference, Freeman testified under oath, stating that he was not employed by Dalton and had not received any payments from the village. Prosecutors argued that these statements were part of a scheme to conceal his true financial situation from the court. As a result, Freeman has been charged with bankruptcy fraud for allegedly misrepresenting his income. Although Freeman claimed to work only for the township and reported earning just over $999,000 in the past year, prosecutors argue that he hid his Dalton earnings through a pass-through company, which inflated his income to $195,000 additionally. The indictment includes claims from the village of Robbins, where Freeman previously served as village administrator. Robbins alleges that Freeman took over $90,000 without authorization during his time there. If convicted of bankruptcy fraud, Freeman faces up to 5 years in federal prison. Federal officials, including the acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, FBI agents, and IRS special agents, have underscored the severity of the charges against Freeman. Meanwhile, Dalton officials are eager for Freeman to depart as they attempt to distance themselves from a growing controversy. As Freeman's legal and ethical troubles continue to unfold, they have become a significant distraction for Henyard's administration, already under scrutiny for various issues, including allegations of unethical behavior and corruption. Freeman's ties to Henyard and his involvement in the growing investigations raise questions about the extent of her role in the situation and whether her leadership is being undermined by those closest to her. The situation is part of a larger narrative of discontent and distrust among the community, which now questions Henyard's judgment and ability to effectively lead. As the investigations progress, many wonder whether Freeman's legal issues will be the first domino to fall in a series of consequences for Henyard and her administration. The charges against Freeman have only added fuel to the fire, and it remains to be seen how the unfolding legal drama will impact Henyard's future and that of Dalton's local government.
A lot of controversy on whether or not he was an employee or if he was contracting. Now they're saying that he didn't miss this information.
And if he can't handle his own business, how in the world can he handle?
The controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, has intensified with the growing federal fraud allegations against her longtime ally, Dalton Administrator Keith Freeman. Once a respected figure in local politics, Freeman now finds himself at the center of a scandal that has shaken the community. A local leader publicly condemned Freeman's actions, calling him an embarrassment to the town and stating that the community had been waiting for justice. This leader further pledged to ask Freeman to step down at the next board meeting should he attend. Freeman, who has pleaded not guilty to federal bankruptcy fraud charges, was released on a $5,000 unsecured bond, though with sealed restrictions. However, his legal troubles extend beyond this case, as he is also named in a separate lawsuit against both the village and Mayor Henyard. Despite Freeman's long-standing reputation as a trusted public servant in Dalton, his indictment has thrust him into the spotlight, and it seems no one saw this turn of events coming. After his arraignment, Freeman's lawyer expressed surprise at the attention the case was receiving, suggesting that the media focus on the bankruptcy fraud case might be part of strategy by the government to pressure Freeman into cooperating with their broader investigation. The fallout from Freeman's indictment has been more than just a personal crisis for him. It has also become a significant blow to Henyard's administration, casting a shadow over the integrity of her leadership. The bankruptcy fraud allegations against Freeman are compounded by a lawsuit from a Dalton property owner, Tyren, who claims Freeman played a role in preventing him from obtaining a business license to open a barbershop in the town. Tyren asserts that Freeman initially assured him that he would receive all the necessary permits to begin work on his property, but in a later meeting, Freeman allegedly failed to recognize Tyren and dismissed him, leading him to believe that his project had been deliberately blocked. Tyren's claims are backed by a building inspector who stated that Henyard had expressed a desire to control properties in Dalton, possibly even intending to take ownership of them herself. This paints a disturbing picture of a potentially chaotic and corrupt situation in Dalton, where Henyard's leadership is being increasingly questioned by those who feel marginalized by her administration. Frustration and tension have been growing around Henyard's conduct, fueling anger and resentment within the community. Tyren's attempts to turn his property into a viable business were allegedly thwarted by what he described as personal interference from Henyard. According to the building inspector, Henyard's desire to control properties and potentially take ownership has created a hostile environment for local entrepreneurs and residents. These allegations against Freeman and Henyard have now become intertwined, creating a broader crisis of confidence in the leadership of Dalton. As the community grapples with the unfolding scandal, Questions continue to swirl about the integrity of Henyard's leadership and the future of Dalton and Thornton Township. Residents are left wondering how deep the corruption goes and what steps will be taken to restore trust in the local government. The mounting evidence of financial misconduct, personal vendettas, and questionable decision-making has left the community shaken, with many calling for accountability and the urgent need for new leadership to repair the damage done to Dalton's reputation. With federal investigations ongoing and legal battles intensifying, the fate of Freeman and Henyard remains uncertain. But their combined fall from grace is already having lasting effects on the town, leaving a legacy of division, mistrust, and uncertainty despite the ongoing investigations and legal troubles surrounding her administration. Mayor Tiffany Henyard Dalton has remained defiant, continuing to assert that she is the target of politically motivated attacks. "I am the target of people who want to see me fail," Henyard reportedly stated last month, dismissing the growing allegations against her and her administration. However, the mounting legal challenges and accusations against her longtime ally, Dalton Administrator Keith Freeman, combined with a lawsuit from local business owner Tyran and increasing frustration from residents, suggest that Henyard's grip on power may be slipping as legal cases unfold. The community is left to question if justice will be served and whether Henyard will be held accountable for her alleged mismanagement of Dalton's finances. The situation has escalated to the point where not only Freeman's future in Dalton is in jeopardy, but Henyard's leadership and reputation are now at serious risk. The mounting pressure from these legal battles, combined with public outrage over Freeman's actions and Henyard's alleged interference in local real estate, has cast a long shadow over the future of both figures in local politics. The political fallout from their connection threatens to undermine Henyard's leadership, further intensifying scrutiny on her actions. Freeman's legal issues, including federal investigations and accusations of misconduct, have only deepened the public's concerns about Henyard's leadership. During a tense board meeting, Henyard clashed with fellow trustees, accusing them of spreading lies about her management and defending her leadership, particularly regarding the township's financial decisions. This meeting was marked by heated debates about spending and the lack of a new budget. Henyard defended her actions, insisting that she was cleaning up the township's finances, but trustees were quick to question the allocation of funds, pointing to questionable expenses such as thousands of dollars spent on Amazon purchases, bakery cakes for a community event, and tens of thousands of dollars for a one-day event in the township. These expenditures raised eyebrows, leading the trustees to vote to stop funding upcoming events like House Fest and Gospel Fest. Henyard, visibly agitated, accused the trustees of operating out of hatred and emotion rather than reason, asserting that the township had a surplus thanks to Freeman's management. However, the tension within the board had become increasingly palpable, with trustees questioning both Henyard's financial decisions and the legitimacy of her administration's spending. Public frustration with Henyard's leadership continues to grow as more and more residents and officials challenge her actions. The community is becoming more polarized, demanding accountability for what they perceive as reckless management and poor decision-making. Henyard's leadership is being tested like never before. The mounting controversies surrounding her and Freeman are reshaping Dalton's political landscape, leaving the future of both figures uncertain. As the legal battles continue, it remains to be seen whether Henyard and Freeman will be able to navigate their respective challenges. But one thing is clear: the fallout from these allegations is far from over. The future of Dalton's leadership, as well as Henyard's political career, remains in jeopardy, and the community's desire for change and transparency is growing louder. The situation in Dalton has become a political powder keg, with trust eroding and tensions reaching new heights. Only time will tell whether Henyard can recover from this crisis, but her continued defiance and the mounting pressure from both legal battles and public opinion suggest that the road ahead will be anything but smooth. The political landscape in Dalton, Illinois, is rapidly becoming a volatile and unpredictable terrain as Mayor Tiffany Henyard finds herself embroiled in a series of growing scandals. Allegations against her have mounted, placing her leadership under increasing scrutiny. A critical element in this political storm is her long-standing association with Keith Freeman, a figure once trusted within Dalton's political circles. Freeman, however, now faces serious legal charges, including federal fraud allegations and misconduct during his tenure as village administrator. The escalating nature of Freeman's legal troubles has created a deep divide between Henyard and the village trustees, with her decision to stand by him for so long further intensifying the criticisms from her opposition. Freeman's legal issues have become an albatross around Henyard's neck, threatening to unravel her leadership and destabilize Dalton's political climate. Freeman, who had previously faced several allegations of misconduct in Thornton Township, was eventually fired due to infractions that included absenteeism and misbehavior. Despite claiming to be on family medical leave, Freeman failed to submit the necessary application, leading to his termination in July. His firing by Thornton Township's Human Resources Department was a clear message. His position, critical to the township's operation, was too important to be left unattended, and his failure to comply with protocols was deemed too severe to overlook. This termination only served to worsen the rift between Henyard and her administration, as trustees, already wary of Freeman's influence within the village government, viewed his firing as a clear indication of Henyard's poor judgment in managing her administration. Freeman's legal woes have only intensified, further heightening the pressure on Henyard and casting a long shadow over her leadership as Freeman's legal battles unfold. They have raised serious questions about Henyard's ability to govern effectively. Many residents are voicing their concerns, with some even questioning her capability to lead Dalton under such mounting pressure. Henyard's defenders argue that she is the victim of a politically motivated smear campaign, pointing the role of political opponents who have seized upon Freeman's legal troubles as a means of undermining her authority. According to them, the allegations against her are part of a broader effort to bring her leadership down, orchestrated by those with personal or political stakes in her removal. However, Henyard's critics are quick to point to a growing list of scandals surrounding both Freeman and herself. Particularly troubling are allegations regarding Henyard's handling of Dalton's finances, which have become a focal point of public and political scrutiny. There are also accusations of her interference in local property deals and questions surrounding her continued support for Freeman, even as his legal challenges mounted. These controversies have led to increasing doubts about her ability to effectively govern Dalton, with the situation growing more chaotic by the day. Public trust in her leadership has deteriorated, and many are now questioning whether Henyard can restore faith in the governance of Dalton, or whether her leadership will continue to unravel under the weight of these scandals. At the center of the controversy are allegations of financial mismanagement and misuse of public funds. One of the most significant sources of criticism has been Henyard's extravagant spending, particularly her controversial trip to Las Vegas in May. This trip, which reportedly cost taxpayers thousands of dollars, has sparked widespread outrage. Some residents have gone so far as to label Henyard the worst mayor in American history, citing her spending habits as evidence of mismanagement. When questioned about the trip, Henyard's response has been defensive and dismissive, attacking her critics and calling those who question her integrity liars. Her failure to provide clear explanation for her actions and her refusal to engage with opposition trustees have only exacerbated the growing discontent within the community. As tensions rise, interactions between Henyard and the village board have become increasingly hostile. Trustees have demanded greater transparency regarding the village's finances, particularly when it comes to the approval of vendors and bills. The lack of transparency has fueled further criticism, as many argue that Henyard is withholding critical information from both the board and the public, making it difficult for residents to trust her administration. The mounting allegations of financial mismanagement, abuse of power, and a lack of accountability have further eroded confidence in her leadership. Meanwhile, Freeman's legal troubles have tied Henyard more closely to the growing scandal, making it even harder for her to distance herself from the controversy. The political challenges facing Henyard reached a boiling point during a special village board meeting, where residents voiced their concerns about the ongoing scandals. The meeting, which addressed a range of allegations, including sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination, was particularly significant because of Henyard's notable absence. The Illinois Department of Human Rights had launched an investigation into these allegations, further complicating Henyard's ability to regain control of the situation. The combination of Freeman's legal issues, Henyard's extravagant spending, and a lack of transparency in her administration has left her leadership on shaky ground, with both residents and political figures questioning her ability to govern effectively. The controversies surrounding Henyard reached a critical juncture when former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot presented a bombshell financial report that focused on Henyard's alleged misuse of public funds. The report revealed shocking findings about the township's finances, including unexplained credit card transactions totaling thousands of dollars and millions of dollars in outstanding payments to vendors. These revelations painted a grim picture of Dalton's financial health, with a reported deficit of $3.65 million in the general fund as of May 31st of the current year. The findings of this report have only fueled growing discontent within the community, as residents and political figures alike now question Henyard's judgment and ability to manage Dalton's finances despite the growing scrutiny. Henyard has continued to deflect criticism and dismiss accusations of financial mismanagement. She has refused to engage in meaningful discussions about the township's financial issues, instead choosing to portray herself as a victim of political persecution. This strategy, however, has failed to resonate with the public, and trust in her leadership continues to erode. The pressure on Henyard's political future has intensified, and many residents and political figures are now calling for accountability for her handling of village funds. The combination of legal challenges, financial mismanagement, and public dissatisfaction has left Henyard's leadership on unstable ground. With the future of Dalton's governance hanging in the balance, the situation in Dalton has become increasingly precarious as Henyard's failure to address the growing concerns from both the village board and the public has left her with little room to maneuver. The legal battle surrounding Freeman and the ongoing investigations into Henyard's administration have raised serious questions about her ability to maintain control over the village. The pressure on her to restore trust in her leadership is mounting, but whether she can do so remains uncertain. As the investigations continue and more financial revelations come to light, Henyard's position as mayor is becoming increasingly tenuous. The future of Dalton's government is now uncertain. The legal, financial, and political challenges facing Henyard have created a volatile environment, with residents and trustees alike questioning her ability to lead the town effectively. The coming months will be critical in determining whether Henyard can weather the storm or whether the weight of the ongoing scandals and legal battles will ultimately lead to her downfall. The political landscape in Dalton is shifting rapidly, and the community is left to grapple with the fallout from Henyard's association with Freeman and the increasing scrutiny of her administration. Henyard's continued refusal to engage transparently with the public and her defiant stance in the face of mounting criticisms have made her leadership increasingly unpopular. Despite her attempt to portray herself as a target of a political smear campaign, the reality is that the allegations against her are growing in both number and severity. The combination of her financial mismanagement, Freeman's legal issues, and the ongoing investigations into her administration's conduct has left Henyard's political future hanging by a thread as the investigations into Henyard's financial mismanagement, legal troubles, and questionable leadership practices continue to unfold. The future of Dalton's governance remains uncertain. The residents of Dalton, once hopeful for Henyard's leadership, are now left to wonder if she can regain their trust or if the series of scandals surrounding her administration will mark the end of her political career. The road ahead for Henyard is filled with uncertainty, legal challenges, and political turmoil, with the fate of Dalton's future hanging in the balance.